We were presented with an opportunity that I thought that we should jump on, and so we're bringing this to you tonight to try to get this to happen. Sometime back, last fall, we were approached with the idea of possibly exchanging some property from some existing Parkland dedication that we had for some other property. And basically, just the bottom line to it is the Indian Hills Trading Company is requesting to exchange a 1.74 acre Parkland dedication for a 4.09 acre parcel. And just to show you where we're at, this is the Grove, the John Deere tractor company down here, Highway 95. That's where the new property would be. Over here you can see where the existing property is. And that's right about their property line as well. And they have their property going to the west from there. A little closer view of that, the Grove down in the bottom, the new parcel that we're looking for in the green, and the old parcel, or the existing parcel, over here in the purple. Basically, like I said, we're looking to dedicate Tract A, which is the 4.9, or having the Indian Hills Trading Company, I'm sorry, dedicate that 4.09 to the city, and our 1.74 we would dedicate back to Indian Hills Trading Company. And this, through this exchange, it would satisfy all the requirements for the Indian Hills 8th edition, which is where that 1.74 acres came from, as well as the approximately 18.6 acres of remaining unplatted property. And if this is approved, 60 days from final approval by the council, this would go into effect. Now, the reason for the request is, well, the terrain, it's not level. And it's just in such a manner that in order to get their to have their roads fit into a subdivision, they needed this property. And I mean, we looked this over quite extensively. The exchange is supported by the Parks and Rec Department staff. It's supported by the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Pathways Commission, and the Tree Commission. And the intended development of the new parkland would be to establish an edible forest type park. And this idea came from one of our Tree Commission members, David Griffith, and they intended originally to put different kinds of nut trees, fruit trees, whatever, along the pathways. And then an opportunity just sort of fell into our laps. Timing was, you couldn't have timed this better. So, general information, this new parkland, the park itself would be unique. Edible forest. If you think about that, fruit trees, nut trees, herbs, all kinds of things can be grown here. Just think of an arboretum, but that'll provide you food. There's long-term and short-term planning that would need to be done with this. If you think about a walnut tree, for example, that can live over 100 years, most of us, maybe with the exception of Gary, will be gone by then. And so, you know, we're talking long-term, so what do you do in the short term? So you have a lot of fruit trees that don't last that long. So we'll have the experts work on the planning of this. There was a question of whether other properties were considered for the edible forest. As far as a park concept, there were not. Like I said, the Tree Commission was looking to work along the pathways. And I'm assuming that they probably still will. It doesn't mean we have to only have this edible park in a park. It could still do that along the pathways as well. But the advantage of this park for an edible forest, number one is, well, I mean, it's the size. I mean, it's considerably larger. And like I said, it's a unique park. You would have a unique park experience. And of course, we're talking fruits, nuts, berries, herbs, all kinds of things of that nature. The terrain is unique. It is not level. When I first was told about this opportunity, it was kind of phrased as, do you want a sledding hill? And I kind of laughed about it at first, but then I started putting together what I had learned at one of the tree commission meetings about the edible forest. And this property has a southwest and west slope to it, and it is perfect for this kind of a use. And like I said, it's unique. So it seemed worthwhile to pursue. There's also actually quite a bit of room for parking. It would be roadside parking using 20-foot parking spaces. There's about 59 spaces along that area. So, like any park, you can have a lot more parking than what you, or a lot more need for parking than what you might originally have. The neighboring property development, right now there is no plat that goes east from this, but all of these things, just as a normal course of development, goes through the planning process, through the planning and zoning, through the staff, and so there's a orderly progression of development as any subdivision is put in. This particular kind of a park is also, I use just the term grant-worthy. It's green. Things that are green are grant-worthy right now. That's the big thing. Environmental projects, education, this thing's really ripe for grants. There was also a question of water sewer access, and I'll show you this. The red dots are, those are fire hydrants, but we've got water at the top, and right now we have water at the bottom. Through discussions with our Public Works Director, there might be a need to place a water booster station, if I've got that term right, in this, and it would likely be somewhere right in here where they would actually dig out part of the hillside and put it in there to give us as much room as we can for the park. But it also, in some ways, it works out pretty good because like I said, this is not flat land, and that would help with the water pressure that we would need. We would actually have the pump station right there. And sewer, a little more problematic. We do have sewer up on top. There's sewer that I believe stops right here, and there will be sewer going partway up this street here. Well, that's actually right away, but that will have, I think he said it was a high pressurized system. We would not be able to access that. So for sewer, should we ever put in a hardened restroom facility, we would either have to get an easement to access down to the highway, or possibly a septic, but I'm guessing that's probably not going to work in this case. But likely where we would end up with a facility of this nature would be kind of your ADA porta potty like we have at Berman Creekside. You put a nice cover over it, and it fits right in. And then you save yourself a fortune on sewer expenses as well, unless something else happens in here that would give us better access down the road.